church friends. I hope you had a wonderful Easter last week and were able to eat lots of yummy food and have lots of wonderful time with your family. It was a really nice day here in Ohio, so I hope that you were able to spend some time outside too. Today, we are starting a new series, and the affirmation for this series is a new one. So our affirmation is, I give full attention to everything I do, which for the adults around you is probably pretty hard, because it's pretty hard for kids too. So the Bible verse we're going to be focusing on is Luke 10:27. Let me read it to you. And he answered, "You are to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your energy, and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself." And a Yiddish proverb that we're going to focus on is, "You can't dance at two weddings at the same time," which sounds very silly, but let me explain. I want to read to you a story about a person named Sam, and I want you to think about concentrating as I read it. Here goes. A long time ago, in a vast dry desert, there was a man named Sam who lived with his pet monkey, Barnabas. Would you want a pet monkey? I would. Sam and Barnabas had traveled around the world and had seen many things both strange and wonderful. Sam had never had a home to call his own, and when a generous friend gave him a house in the desert, Sam was ready to settle down. The house was small but sturdy. There was also a barn for animals and plenty of land for a garden. There was only one thing missing that they absolutely needed there in the desert. They couldn't grow a garden, take care of animals, or live in a house without it. They needed a well. They wouldn't survive without water. Sam went to see his closest neighbor, Ida, who lived a half-day journey away. That's a really long way away. To ask about a well. Ida had lived in the desert a long time with her pet parrot, Rudolph. Sam was encouraged when he saw that Ida's house was surrounded by beautiful trees and her garden was full of healthy, well-watered vegetables. "How do I get water out of the desert like you have here?" asked Sam. Rudolph and Barnabas sat in a tree and listened while their people talked. Ida was more than happy to help. "The water is hiding deep underground. You have to dig a hole straight down to get it. But once you reach the underground spring, you'll have all the water you need," she explained. The new friends sat in the shade while they shared a delicious salad for lunch. Then Sam and Barnabas said goodbye and promised to come back soon. The next day, Sam found just the right spot between the house and the garden and started working early in the morning while it was still cool. Barnabas watched for a while, and then he climbed up on the roof of the house to look around. Barnabas had soft brown fur except on his hands and feet where it was black. He had a long tail that helped him to climb and hang on to things like tree branches. He could also make lots of noises, and sometimes Sam thought he could almost understand what Barnabas was saying. Barnabas suddenly screeched and then jumped off the roof and ran across the yard. He sat in the dirt a little ways away from Sam and dug with his own hands. Sam stopped digging and watched the monkey. That might be a better spot, thought Sam, so he took a shovel to the new spot to dig. After a little while, Barnabas ran over to another spot by the barn. Sam decided he wasn't making good progress where he was, so he moved too. Then Barnabas spied a colony of busy ants that he and Sam watched the ants build a big hill in the sand. By this time, the sun was high in the sky and it was hot. Sam thought it would be easier to dig in the shade, so he moved again. When the sun went down, Sam was very tired, but he had not seen any sign of an underground spring. "Maybe we'll have a well tomorrow, Barnabas," he said sleepily as he crawled into bed. The next day, Sam planned to dig straight down all day, but he found some really neat rocks while digging and started to build a wall. After lunch, he and Barnabas played a game of monkey tag, and later Sam found a great place for a well right near the porch, so he started digging there. As the sun was going down, Sam saw Rudolph fly and land on the roof of the house where Barnabas was sitting. Ida walked into the yard for a few minutes later. She looked around and said, "I came to see your new well." "There is no new well. I don't think there ever will be one. I haven't seen any water," complained Sam in a sad, tired voice. Ida calmly looked at all the holes, the pile of stones, the half-finished wall, and the monkey on the roof. "The water is there, but you're not going to find it this way," she said kindly. "You must dig steadily in one spot without moving. As you fill your shovel with your dirt, fill your mind with the thought of cool, clear water. Don't think of anything else until your feet are wet." She paused and then added, "I'll take Barnabas home with me while you work." Without Barnabas leaping around, Sam did find it easier to work. He realized that his mind could be a bit like a monkey too, leaping from one thing to another. A few days later, Sam came into Ida's yard carrying a jug. Barnabas leaped onto Sam's shoulders in welcome, and Rudolph flapped around his head. "I did it! My feet got really wet," Sam said happily. "Would you like a drink of some delicious, cool, clear spring water?" Sam poured everyone a drink from his jug. While they refreshed themselves, Sam asked Ida about what to plant in his garden now that there was enough water to make it grow. So I want you to think of a couple questions. What made it hard for Sam to concentrate on his task? What do you think it was? Could it have been that he was distracted? Or he was moving around too much and starting new activities and new jobs when really he should have just been focusing on one? What helped him solve his problem? How did he finally get to the well? What do you think could have happened to Sam if he wasn't able to concentrate? Do you think it could have been dangerous? Have you ever had anything in your life that you had to concentrate really, really hard on and you got really distracted and you just didn't have energy to do it? This story shows us how important it is to concentrate on one thing. If we concentrate on one thing at a time, we can get things done better. So throughout this next week, Shadetree Kids, I want you to think about what you can concentrate on and what you can give your energy to so that you can solve your problem quicker. I hope you have a wonderful week and a great day today. Bye, church friends.